You wanted to protect me, right? As a husband, you would protect your wife, right? Because, us women love a man who can protect us with those big, strong hands, honey, the muscular type, the ones who can handle all of those manly things. But when that same muscular man takes those same muscular hands and close them around my neck in real life, no role play, and try to squeeze blood out of a turnip, but this is my neck. It's not a turnip. And this blood is my life. And I'm deciding on whether or not this is the end or if I'm going to fight. And when I fight, you release one hand and slap me and punch me across my face. And I'm dazed, crying out for anyone to help me. Tears running down my face, gasping for oxygen that the world could spare me. As our daughter yells out, "Daddy, no, Daddy, no, Daddy, don't hurt Mommy. You have to have nice hands, Daddy." He punches me in my face harder and more, pressing my neck to this hardwood floor. It seems like my silent prayers have been answered as he stands. And I'm gasping, crying. I'm mad as hell. But I just wanted to break free. But to add insult to injury, he just kicks the shit out of me as hard as he can, stomping the shit out of me. But this motherfucker won't stop until he's tired. Fuck, his daughter's crying. He ain't tired. Bitch, who the fuck you think you leaving? He heavy breathing. Yeah, he getting tired. He grabs his car keys and he leaves. I'm relieved. So glad he got tired. And here I am, left to try to figure out how to clear my tears and explain this to our child so she won't find herself in a relationship getting fucked up by someone who loves her like this. Because true love don't look like this, baby. True love should hit your heart, not your face. Baby, when I used to love you.
Thank you, LaQuita. That was lovely. All right. So, some of the signs of domestic abuse are that I wrote down are jealousy, possessiveness, controlling behavior, quick involvement, like quick to want to get into a relationship with someone, isolation, unrealistic expectations, verbal abuse. So those are some of the signs of an abuser. Let's talk about the types of abuse. And as I said earlier, types of abuse are verbal abuse, physical abuse, financial abuse, and emotional abuse. Verbal abuse is name calling, condensing, um, things like no wonder you are always moaning about your weight. Look how you clean your plate. So basically put downs to make you feel bad about yourself. Financial abuse, withholding money, stealing money, restricting the use of finances. Emotional abuse, confident isolation, no verbal humiliation, diminish the sense of identity. It can make you feel like no one understands or believes you. So these are the different types of abuse that a lot of people go through. And um, you know, domestic abuse is a very serious thing. A lot of people stay in these abusive relationships for a lot of different reasons. Some people stay in relationships that are abusive because they feel like they have no one to turn to because people might not understand or judge them or even blame them. Some people stay in abusive relationships due to financial. They have nothing else to fall back on. So, does anybody else have anything they would like to add?
I would not leave out psychological abuse is that's deeply
Oh,
embedded
emotional
in
abuse.
like a lot. Yeah, okay, yeah. That's so dangerous because it passes down from generation to generation. When the children see it, they do it to their spouses when they get them and their children. It's man, it's a terrible cycle. I've seen it through my own family, and it's an awful thing to experience. The
I was
Okay.
one of the youngest memories I remember is going into my stepfather's office, and the book that stood out on his library, and I later found out years he did this on purpose to intimidate people, was The Power of Controlling One's Mind, or the power of mind control was the title of that book. And he just used to keep it out there in the open for everybody to see, just kind of like a intimidation thing, just to let people know, you know what I mean? Like, I will control you. And I spent my whole life being controlled by this man, as did my mother and everybody around him. It was a terrible abuse, and it got physical, and we were never good enough to do anything good enough. You know what I mean? It's man, mental abuse is an awful, awful thing.
I
There's
was gonna
also the narcissist. Oh, okay, you could go, Data. I'm sorry.
I
You
was
got
going
it.
to say, mental abuse. Mental abuse is not healthy, right along with verbal and physical. Only because when a person has to deal with that and they've been dealing with it so long, it could cause them to shut down and not want to be bothered, not want to open up. It makes them depressed. It makes them not want to focus on what they usually focus on. It sometimes make them not want to deal with life at times. So we can't leave mental abuse out either, because that plays a big part as well.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I definitely agree with that. And what kind of mixing in what Day Day was saying and Rebel was saying, it's like I know a lot of times I hear women say, "Oh well, this is my child's father, and I gotta stay with my children's father, and we gotta stay together." But one of the things that I thankfully God just put this thought in my head, where where he was basically showing me and telling me that I was doing my daughter more damage by keeping her in that situation to where she was constantly witnessing that than taking her into a situation where we didn't have to see that. And even though, we've been doing single parenthood for, a number of years now, what she's been able to see is that when somebody hurts me or, hurts her mom didn't say that it was okay. She tried to make it work, but then when she saw it didn't work, she left. And then not only for her safety, but also for my mental and emotional, psychological safety. Because we can't just say like, "Oh, that's my baby's dad, and I got to make it work." It's like, honey, if it doesn't work, it doesn't work, and we have to
Yeah.
move right on.
You know, I
Okay.
had a conversation just like this earlier with a friend, and they were talking about in the Bible, right? And it talks about your spouse should come before your children, even. And I have to disagree with that because, like you said so many times, it's such an abusive thing that you should not stand by and just tolerate just because you have children together. That's absolutely wrong. Absolutely wrong. It's not helping anybody.
And then there's also the narcissist, which is an inflated sense of importance, a person that basically is self indulgent and they are selfish to the extreme, you know. So, and I know, LaQuita, you spoke on that a little bit. Did you have anything else you would like to add to that?
Well, one of the most interesting things that I found out maybe in the last 2 months is that narcissism, even though it's like a new term that's becoming more of a trend and more people are actually talking about it, it's actually a personality disorder. And it's like, I'm like, what? And my eyes were like popping out of my head. Like, it's a personality disorder. Like, and then when you're coupling that fact with the fact that a lot of Black people don't necessarily believe in therapy or going to a psychiatrist, just trying to get some type of help, some counseling or whatever. It's like a lot of people with narcissistic personality disorder go undiagnosed, and then they're in our households, they're fine as ever. You like, oh my goodness, I got me a chocolate man, honey, but that chocolate man is beating your face in. And it's like, and you're arguing, y'all are arguing all the time. It's not working. And it's like, one of the things that a narcissist will do, and maybe you all can talk about this too, is that they like say they do something wrong, like they might cheat, they might steal some money out of the bank account, or use it for something that they weren't supposed to use it for because they didn't talk it over with you, whatever they're doing. But then when you call them on it, they'll come back and blame you. Well, if you would have checked the bank account, you would have known that we didn't have any money in the account. And that's what my ex-husband used to do all the time. And I'm like, we used to I got paid on one Thursday, the Friday of the next week, he would get paid. So there was absolutely no reason that we should have been broke at all. And every time I would decide to buy myself lunch and, treat myself to a lunch at work, we would get an NSF fee from the bank. And I'm like, what is this? I got money, and that was a part of that narcissistic abuse that I endured with him. Like, he was clearly the problem, but he was never that he was the problem. It was my fault that we went over balance because I didn't check the account before I swiped the card.
That's crazy.
Would that be reverse psychology?
I mean, I think it would be a mixture of it all. You know what I mean? Because like when I was listening to Lee Hammock, he has narcissistic personality disorder, and he talks about it a lot on his channel. And he was like, that was one of the things that narcissists will do, is that when they're clearly in the wrong, they won't accept any responsibility for what they've done. They won't say, oh, okay, my fault, my bad, that was on me. They won't ever do that, but they'll figure out a way to flip it around and make it your fault, and then force you into apologizing. And then after the conversation, you're looking like, wait a minute, what happened? What happened? And I'm like, why am I apologizing? I didn't do anything wrong,
Right. And so, Rebel, I know you had something you wanted to read.
Yeah. I wrote this the other day, and I hadn't even realized what I had written until I had read it to some other people, and they were like, well, that would be a real good piece for domestic violence. And I was like, when I read it, I was like, oh snap, yeah, it would be actually. A lot of times us writers don't really know what we're writing until we've shared it with other people and they comment back on it. And that's kind of what happened with this piece. And it's called Starving Artist. But it's not starving for what most artists are starving for. She had done a poor job at hiding the damage. She wore emotions silently, but painted them passionately. Her brush and his strokes told the story of a darkness, and the demons that inhabit her plagued mind that was fractured, and the beatings she became accustomed to added colors and hues to a bloody design. Her canvas was chaos. And there wasn't enough beauty products to hide the abuse, and there wasn't enough chocolate tissues or alcohol to overpower the tears that poured out from her optical view. Her spirit was broken, and the gaze upon her you knew was to be true, that the shine inside of her had a dying fuse. But her mind's eye saw distortions in everything, so beauty and her opinions and perceptions were never written or painted. All that she knew was ugliness and misery. Her home was not a home anymore, and her heart was all the way shattered and could not break anymore. She valued absolute nothing anymore but the pain and the misery that encompassed and accompanied her everywhere. For she believed that was all she had to look forward to moving forward, so she prepared herself to be shut off from loving, caring feelings for others. She made it a wall and a barrier, also a strength. She was in survival mode, vowing never ever to be burned again, hurt again. She never wanted life to teach her these lessons again. So she wore her hatred on the outside and left all of the positive, beautiful things buried very deep within. I am Rebel Jones.
Thank you. Nice
Thank you.
piece.
Thank you.
Very nice. Very nice.
Appreciate
Yeah.
that.
So I'm not understanding how we can prevent domestic abuse, but I think that what needs to change is a lot of times people blame the person that's been abused. If you would have did this, or if you just this, I think that that needs to change to help people be able to have somebody that they can talk to or go to get away from their abuser when they want to get away from their abuser. You know, a lot of time, a lot, women, they blame the next woman, like, you know what I'm saying? So this needs to change as well. You disagree, Day Day?
I do. Well, no, I don't disagree. I don't. I don't. I do disagree because I feel like you shouldn't. You shouldn't blame the next woman. I am a victim of domestic violence. I done been abused in the past. I do have wounds from my past abuser. Um, I got my ear bit off, so I have no earlobe right there. Um, I was blamed because I put him in jail for biting my ear off, stealing my wallet, putting my all four of my tires on flat to where I wasn't able to have no way to work. I had to go to the hospital. They couldn't put my ear back on because it was already dead. So now I have to walk around with a half a ear, and it's embarrassing because I get looked at. I can't wear earrings. People do look at me when if I wear my hair up, or when I used to wear my hair up before I had my locks. People used to look at me. Kids would look at me and be like, "What happened to your ear?" And people would ask the kids, "Don't ask her that," And I wouldn't have a problem with telling them. I don't have a problem with telling nobody my story at all. Because I don't think we supposed to sit and just let it happen. I think when we are fed up and we are tired, I think we're supposed to just leave. I do feel that we are not supposed to let anybody bully us or force us into being with them while they're angry and upset. I do understand that we are women, but at the same time, we do have to stand our ground. Um, when we meet a person, we see what we see before we get with them for the long run. And when we get with them for the long run, we didn't know that's who they were in the beginning. We didn't know that's how they was in the beginning because it's love. Love can blind us sometimes, and sometimes it's hard. Sometimes some of us with kids, we might make an excuse, but we can't continue to let that be the excuse all the time. Sometimes we just have to buckle down and just look at it and just go.
It could be the mask too
Go.
that they wear when you first meet them too. So
Yes,
it's like they charm you and you think they're a good person, and then it's slowly, because it doesn't just start off right away unless
no,
they
it
just
doesn't.
really. But a lot of times it slowly starts. And it usually starts with manipulation, verbal, and then it leads to physical. Or isolation into to physical.
All problem. That's all
Yeah,
problem.
and I was just going to jump in and say, first of all, I'm sorry that you had to go through that. We are beautiful, we are worthy, we are well deserving, and I'm glad that you were able to get into a safer position in life. And one of the things that it made me think about was, like, some of those red flags, like, how when you first meet somebody and, girl, he's so fine and he got dimples and everything, like, oh my goodness, and he got this car.
Yeah.
And oh, you tell me that I'm beautiful, and girl, you don't get my hair and my nails, that all of this crap. And what it is that they start off love bombing you, like pouring all of this love on it. So, with a lot of us, we have daddy issues. And I don't want to delve too deep into that, but we have a lot of daddy issues that have not been resolved. And we are like looking for that love and affection of a father, but then we'll go to a man and try to get that same love and affection from them. And then a lot of men know that we have daddy issues because, hey, where most of our men are. And so they will kind of prey on that. And when they meet somebody who is showing them any kind of attention, or, giving them a time of the day, they will start love bombing them, compliments, buying them things, wooing them, showing all the love. The love making is fantastic. And it's like we misconstrue that with love. And then once they feel like they have gotten us, then that's when the love bomb kind of bursts and then start going into those red flags that Ms.Londa was actually talking about. Because that stuff is really, really serious. And it's like we miss it. This is that love and affection from our father, or we've always been in bad relationships or whatever, and then it's like we see the red flags and think the red flags are red hearts instead of for what they really are.
So Elkanah Richardson says, I've seen so much abuse in my family, whether it was drug, alcohol, or physical abuse. Yeah. Drugs and alcohol could play a big part in abuse
Plays
as
a big
well.
part. I watched
Yeah.
my mom. I watched my mom and my stepdad get high all the time at nighttime. And then the next day they'll be arguing and fighting, or he'll be abusing her to where it'll be to the point where she will have to call my granny, and she'll be on the phone with my granny begging and pleading for my granny to come get her out the house. And he'll hit her. One time he grabbed a stick and hit her with the stick because she was on the phone with my granny telling my granny to come get her. And it was like so sad to where one day I just got tired of it. And I stood up in front of him and I said, "Man, you ain't finna keep hitting on my mama like that in front of me." And he said, "Who is you?" I said, I'm standing up to you. I'm not finna keep allowing you to hit my mama. My brothers and them might not be here, but I'm here, and I'm not finna keep allowing you to do this to her." And he hit me, and I was like, "Whoa!" I left and I ran away because I was like, "Nah, I ain't finna keep sitting here watching my mama go through this, get beat on, breakfast, lunch, and dinner." It happened to her so much to where it kind of messed her up, made her leave. She finally decided to leave to where when he beat her, she had to go into the hospital and she was in a coma for a little bit. So she left and never came back.
Thank you. That's good for her. Kelly, can you hear now? Okay.
I can't hear her.
Yeah, I don't know. Something must be wrong with her connection or something, because I can hear everybody else and everybody else can hear me. I'm going to read what she wanted me to read. Okay, it says, before my narcissistic relationship experience, I never understood why a woman would stay in a relationship with an abuser. It was very cut and dry to me and didn't make any sense. What I didn't realize from the outside is that the abuse doesn't necessarily start out in a very obvious way. It creeps in slowly like a poisonous gas. The more you breathe the gas, the less the clear your thoughts become. By the time things start happening that a sane person would easily recognize abuse, is generally too late. You are no longer quite sane. Your sense of what happened has been completely distorted by exhausting mental games and emotional torment. Your perception of reality has been twisted and manipulated so severely you are no longer certain what to believe. Or even if you are, I think someone has an experience that it's almost impossible to understand that you actually can be driven mad by another person. It's also because most narcissists abuse privately. If you weren't a victim of narcissist, you probably only saw his best, most charming face. And if that was the person you knew, it would be hard to imagine the dark truth of what happens behind closed doors.
Wow, that is
Kelly, can
so
you
much
hear
to
now?
unpack.
Yeah, that's deep.
Yeah.
Mm.
I wanted her. Can you hear or can you speak now? If you could write in the chat, I can read. What was it? about this article that attracted you? Like, can you relate to this article in some sort of way?
Were you asking Callie?
Yeah, I was saying if she can't talk where we can hear her, can she type in the private and I could just read it, or if she can hear me.
Well, I'll say a little. It resonates with me. It was sad. I've been through a lot in my life. I can honestly say, especially on the abuse tip, physical abuse, and it's tough. I do hold a lot in because I don't have a lot of people to talk to like that, and the little people I do talk to, I just talk to them. But I do keep it bottled up because I am afraid of being judged. I am afraid of being asked why, and I don't want to give my reason why because I don't want to feel like it's an excuse, So I just don't say anything. I just leave it. Um, but it does bother me a lot. It does, but I hide it. I hide it pretty well, only because I don't want people to see. I don't want them to see my hurt or my pain, so I hide it.
One thing that I'll just say in response to what you were just saying is that there's power in testimonies. And just by the fact that you were able to make it out, number one, mentally, you put yourself out of that situation first. Then, once you were there mentally, like, hey, this is not what I want. This is not cute. I got to go somewhere else. And then physically, your body followed your mind. And one of the things that people, especially women in domestic violence situations, is that what they experience is that they feel like they're the only ones going through it. Like nobody else in the world is going through it. Nobody understands what they feel. And it's because a lot of the stories and the experiences and people telling those stories, they keep it to themselves. They don't tell anybody, they don't share it. And then we have to become empowered. Think of it as not necessarily you dealing in, what's going on with you, but you're trying to free somebody else. So it's kind of like, since it is Black History Month, you're like the Harriet Tubman, and you're trying to free other women who are in similar situations that you were in. So your testimony is freeing. It definitely is, and I hate it when people say that, oh, he's not beating you. And I don't know if y'all remember several years ago, the rapper Rashida was telling K Michelle that she was lying about the domestic abuse that she experienced in the relationship with one of Rashida's friends. Oh, and I've been knowing him a long time, and I've been knowing him a long time, and he never did nothing like that. It's like, but you were never in a relationship with this person. So that's like two different, apples and oranges. It's fruit, but it's apples and oranges. So you can't really say that. So I never really try to tell people about their situation. I take their word for it, and whatever I can do to give them some kind of support, that's what I do. It's like, hey, what else? What else can I do? You know.
I'm gonna try to play what she.
I guess we're gonna have to do it this way because I can hear you.
I never really try to tell people about their situation. I take their word for it, and whatever I can do to give them some kind of support, that's what I do. It's like, hey, what else?
She gonna have to re-record it because she recorded it with the background, so you can't hear it. Okay, it's just not gonna work out tonight with Kelly. So moving on. Oh, let's see. I think it's just her internet connection. It has to be.
In response to what LaQuita said right now. When we talked on the phone yesterday, I can't speak for Mo, but I went through all my abuse as a child, and it was sexual, it was physical, it was all inappropriate. It was psychological. It was all that. You know what I mean? And she said a real good thing yesterday to me. She was like, your story when you share it with other people that can relate, it's empowerment because of look at where you're at today. You know what I'm saying? You have your own family, you're raising children, you have your own home, and you've created your own world. You know what I'm saying? Like you successfully come out of that. So that's empowering for other people. You know what I mean? So it's somewhat on the same lines. Obviously, I can't relate as a woman, clearly. But as a child, I went through much of the same stuff, and I can relate in that aspect. And although painful and emotional to share often, I've noticed that a lot of the things I write for other people to hear, it has helped them relate and be able to free a little bit of themselves from that pain. So I've seen it to be true, and testimony is empowerment. It's very powerful.
Oh yes, it is. I definitely agree, especially with the part that I said. I'm just playing.
And she did not pay me to say that. I'm telling
Yes, I remember when I first wrote that piece that I did at the beginning of this program, and what was empowering is that I actually had someone to help me with that poem, and they were kind of like giving me pointers and like, oh yes, and perform it this way or say this part that way. And as I was, as they were working with me, they realized some of those signs those red flags that we were talking about earlier. They realized them from the poem, but they never really thought about it in depth until they started thinking about my poem, and then they started recognizing that in their child's relationship. And it's like, hey, I don't have to make $1 million as a poet. I would like to, but if I can save somebody from experiencing something, or I can say something that will help somebody else get out of that situation, that's something that I would love to do, and that would just warm my heart. And I'll keep performing it day after day. It doesn't matter, because there's somebody who needs to hear that, and something will stick.
And then we have to think too that staying in those situations, it does damage the kids in the long run. It does make the kids isolate. If they've been around this since babies, it does stick with them to where they're holding on to it, to where they don't want to open up, or to where when they're adults, they inflict it on their spouse, and they take their spouse through it because they didn't seen their parents go through it. So we have to be mindful that this does affect the kids. Domestic violence is an awareness, but how aware is it? It could go on behind closed doors and not in public. It could be going on in somebody's home and nobody don't know it. So we have to be very aware that it does hurt the youth. It does. It hurts them, and they take it with them. It doesn't leave. It sticks with them forever.
Yes, it really does, and it can play out in so many different ways. Like, you know how they say that you can have one household with one father, one mom, and they'll have, say, like they have 3 kids or 4 kids. But even though those 3 or 4 kids are in that same household, watching the same experience with those two people, the mom and the dad, each one of those children will be affected in a different way. One of the kids might be an aggressor. They might be the person that's committing domestic violence against somebody else, whether it's the male or female, because we know that it's not just male on female. It can be vice versa. Like Rebel was talking about, it can be against the kids. And it's like we just have to like start really delving deep into that and realizing the pain that we're experiencing, the pain. And I'm not just ignoring the adults in the situation, but even we're perpetuating the situation. So we're making a perpetual cycle instead of letting that cycle end with us and say, forget this, I'm leaving, or getting to that point where you can break out of that love bomb that this person has you under, this love spell that they have you under, and saying, I'm leaving. We have to get to the point where we do that, because when we keep our kids in there, our kids can become abusers. Our daughters can be just like Belinda said. Belinda says, she says, I have known some women say, if he don't hit me, he don't love me. That's like the most twisted thing that I can hear a victim say. And I've
Yeah,
heard
because
people say
love shouldn't hurt.
It shouldn't. Love should not hurt. That
it should
that
not.
part right there that she said remind me of Sparkle. When Sparkle's sister was dating that man and he was
Oh
beating on her,
yeah,
she was got on them drugs and he beat her so bad he beat her till he killed her.
yeah,
Jesus, Jesus, Jesus. Yeah. But we have to think about ourselves. We have to think about our children. And if we're talking about breaking these generational curses, breaking these perpetual cycles that kind of keep our families bound into the same types of families, the same type of economic situations, academic situations, we gotta do something different. We can't say that we want something different, but we're doing the same exact thing. That's insane, right? So yeah.
yeah. So, what do you think happens like when a person has been in an abusive relationship, but then they kind of it's kind of a repeat thing? Why do you think that is?
One of the things, actually, my daughter, she's like heavy into like psychology and stuff, and she's 18 and she just thinks she knows everything. And I'm like, hey, you don't know everything. But I agree with her on this. But she says that the reason why people go through the same experience, like with a new person, new face, new name, new clothes, whatever, is because we didn't learn the lesson that we were supposed to learn in that previous experience. So if we didn't learn that lesson, we're going to continue those same habits that's going to put us in the same situations with similar people, different faces, different names, different clothes.
So, when you say lessons, do you mean the noticing the pattern or?
Yeah, I think it's a little bit of all of that. So, like, what were you saying, Rebel?
Breaking the pattern. At some point, we realize, like, yo, I'm doing what that asshole was doing. And then when you recognize it and realize it, it's absolutely your responsibility to break the pattern and do something different at that point.
Yeah, but we might know that we don't like it when Bob hits us, or when Bob calls us fat and Bob says, no, you're not, you're gonna be mine forever, it's me or nobody else, whatever. We might not like it, but then if we don't fully learn that lesson that we were supposed to learn in that relationship with Bob, when we finally get the gall and the gumption to finally break away from Bob, we're gonna go over here to Billy, and Billy's gonna treat us the same way because we didn't learn those lessons. We didn't work on ourselves. We went from one relationship to the next, and we didn't take the time to actually work on who we are, who we're supposed to be, figure out what people we want. We settle a whole lot of times, because we don't want to be alone. You know what I mean? So it's a lot of things
I
like that, and
found,
it's more of a cycle.
I'm sorry.
It's more of a subconscious type of thinking, as opposed to like, oh yeah, I want a man to beat me. Like, who says that? Well, besides some of the people that Belinda was mentioning earlier, but it's more of a psychological, subconscious type of thing. So we'll just start doing things instead of stopping, thinking, feeling, deciding, and then moving.
I
I
agree.
I found myself. I have found myself more often than not sounding like the father when I get frustrated. I'll be like, what the fuck is wrong with you? Like speaking the way I should be speaking to kids. And I catch myself doing that a lot. But I recognize that, and I worked so hard to like break that because I didn't even realize that I had slipped into that pattern. But I hear myself now, and it's disappointing. You know what I'm saying? It's disappointing enough that I want to do something about it. Now it's just the next step of how do I change this behavior because it's ugly, and that's coming from a parent standpoint. I feel overwhelmed and I feel frustrated, and I start I start talking to my children like they're grown ass men and shit. You know what I mean? That's abusive, and I catch myself doing that. You know, when I work very hard to try to break them patterns and shit, but I do understand how you can subconsciously just slide right into the roles that you witnessed and experienced. But it's a matter of recognizing it and working your damnedest every day to try to break that pattern. That's really all we can do. And it goes on the vice versa side is the person that has experienced that walking away from that. Sometimes you got to be uncomfortable enough at some point where it's like enough is a fucking enough. You know what I mean? Like we need to walk the fuck up out of here now. It's sorry about my. I get passionate
That's okay.
sometimes. But yeah,
That's okay.
I really think we need to find that inner confidence in ourselves to grab that intestinal fortitude, so to speak. That's obviously that's the term we use. Um, and find that strength inside to just get up and find out that we want something different. You know, and you got to find it within yourself. It's a lot of self search. There is so much work in delving in yourself, mentally and emotionally, within yourself to have that type of growth. You have to take a lot of time with yourself internally to find that place. It's a
Yeah, I
painful
definitely.
on the other side. It's beautiful.
My
Okay.
apologies, but yes, I definitely agree with that. But I think that what Ms. Yolanda was saying in the beginning, like how they would kind of like tear you down, like they'll love on you, but then they'll start breaking you down with all of that emotional abuse, psychological abuse, like, oh,
Hear
you
me.
that you're gonna wear that, you're gonna wear this, and all of that, and and then it breaks down your self confidence, and and you are unsure about a lot of things. And so you basically become damaged, just like Callie was saying. They don't know their self worth anymore because they've actually torn their worth all the way down. So it's like, to come out of that is like almost because they've done it so much, and then because they've also isolated them from their friends. Your friends care the most about you. Of course, your family,
Mm-hmm.
the ones that you like, and they do. And
Yeah.
but it's like when that person, you have allowed that person subconsciously or consciously to separate you from your friends. Now it's like being in a shooting range, but there are no walls around you. There's nothing else but you right there to be shot by this
Can y'all
person
hear
who
me yet?
say they love you, but they don't.
Yeah. Thank you, Kelly. I'm glad you finally got everything working.
Oh, you can hear me.
Yes.
Yes, we can hear
Cause
you
I was
loud
about to
and
throw
clear.
both of these motherfucking. Oh shit.
Oh, girl.
My
Woo.
bad. I was gonna throw
Okay.
these phones out the window. Dang. I
Okay.
didn't forgot what
So
I needed to say. But
the article you sent me, basically I was asking, could you relate to that article in some sort of way?
yeah, I'm dealing with a narcissist now. He betrayed himself. He up one way. He knew what he was doing. He tried to find a weakness in me. He tried to. I don't know what he was doing, but he got stabbed the hell up. But that's how I got this scar on my forehead because of a jealous man. I ain't never got beaten by a man because I don't know. Men be out here jealous of females, and people be saying I'm crazy for even saying that, but there's men out there, and he's one of them.
So, were there, of course, there were warning signs, but did you notice the warning signs before, you know, it got to that point?
Um, I think I did. I just didn't care because I was doing my own thing. He was over there eating his cake and not eating all the icing, but he thought he could do the same thing that he did with other women towards me. But I guess I'm more strong minded because no. Mm-mm. He tried to break me, but I stood my ground. But hey, that shit is hard.
So did you finally break away from this
Huh?
person? Did you finally break away from this person?
I'm trying to return his kids.
You what?
I'm trying to return his kids.
Return his kids?
Yeah, I laid down with the wrong person. He purposely got me pregnant. But I have fault. I take responsibility because I thought I was invincible. But he told me out of his mouth that he was going to do this. But I didn't think it was going to happen. Mm-mm.
And so how did you finally break away from him?
Damn, how did I? I moved away because he something wrong with that dude. He said he had sabotaged everything that I've ever had going on because I won't bow down, and I'm not that type of female that can. Like if you punch me in the eye, I think I have to punch you back, right? And he didn't like that I fought back and returned. I don't know. I'm just happy I'm out of it because that ain't something that you want to go through. Sitting there plotting how you gonna escape, like don't even know who to call on because your family really doesn't care because they sent you away at 13 to fend for yourself. So they could sit there and say that I put myself in that position. No, no, I didn't. My family was the start of it from not understanding why I went crazy after my mother passed away. So they tried to eliminate the problem and sent me away, and then everything went left right there. And I had to fend for myself. It was like survival mode. So I got stuck in situations that I didn't want to be in, but I had to stick it up because I had nowhere else to go.
So that was kind of like what I was saying earlier. Some people stay because of you not having somewhere else to go or nowhere else to turn to, or even financial. I have a question from someone in the audience. Belinda wants to know, how long were you with him?
Um, I wasted 12 years with him.
And did the abuse go on for the whole 12 years?
Yeah, it was something that pinged in his head because me and him, we had twins, and one of the twins passed away, and I was in a shelter because, like, damn, are you serious? You beating me while I'm pregnant? Like, no care in the world. But I thought he was different when he wasn't drinking. When he was when he was sober, he had some sense. But when he was drinking, everything that he think that I done or he heard in his head that I said or looked at somebody, nah, I ain't got time to be fighting no man. But it was that one time that he came into the room after we buried our child, and he barricaded the door, and our other son was laying right next to me, 2 months old, and beat my face in, and couldn't nobody get into the damn door. He he he. I was unrecognizable. Like I was ashamed for even allowing it. Like it's embarrassing, but then again, it's my testimony. I went through it. I survived it. They got the scars to prove it. But karma is a bitch.
So
I
have
got a
you
Jordan sign right here. He made a perfect one. Hit me with a steel pole.
so do
That's
you think
karma.
that you've healed, or are you still healing from that
Nah, I lost
situation?
myself dealing with him.
You say you lost yourself?
Hmm. And it's like the little. I know I'm a very strong-minded person. It's just like the thoughts the repeat because it's like basically the same stuff that my family used to say, like you ain't shit and blah blah blah. And then for somebody that so called cares about you, Just like that movie that I was telling you about, the Broken Rose. That was him. He had mommy issues, and I'd rather stay by myself because I'm a damaged individual. I get into a relationship and you still need to heal. Mm. I'm just blessed that I'm able to even be able to speak about this because there was times where he cutting off circulation and all types of stuff. But
Mm.
So, a viewer says, "Glad you got away from your abuser. That's sad, and you're not alone."
yeah, he doing the same. He ain't abusing anymore. But it's now he's
So, is
going
it? It's not physical
overboard to
anymore,
keep
but it's
me.
more.
He doesn't want me to leave. He wants me trapped. It is kind of messed up that we got kids and now the stuff has went too far because he can't get to me. Now
Are you speaking into the mic because you're kind of low?
can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Nah, but things have went too far now. Now he's doing it stuff in a different way because he can't mentally. He knows that I'm done, so now he's targeting our kids, and he doesn't care as long as he has me stuck. And but I'm gonna keep it moving. I'm not gonna. There's a lot of stuff I really want to do to him, but where would that get me other than jail, prison? Because I don't like no locked doors, and that's what he wants. He's a narcissist. He knows how to play victim real well. He knows how to make people believe in him, and he knows I don't have any family out here to back me up. So he knows what he's doing. I just have to play it smart and not react.
Okay. LaQuita, you had unmuted your mic. Did you have something to say?
Oh yeah, I wanted to know. I don't know how many children you have or how old they are, but have you seen any impact on them from this relationship?
Huh?
Have you, has this relationship with their dad has it impacted your children?
Yes. And I'm no longer in that mind frame where I want him to be around his children, right? Because he's not teaching. No, I stayed around because I wanted him to be a part of his kid's life, but nah. Even when I was showing like not being one of those bitter ass baby mamas, he still sabotaged me. He's found a way to sabotage every job that I had because I won't let him stay with me. I won't give him no money, and he. Uh-uh. But I always found a way though, and he didn't like that. Mm. At the moment, I'd rather date a tree or something that don't talk back. And I'm being for real.
Not date the tree.
Mm. Mm-mm.
It's okay to hug the tree, but not date the tree.
I'm not gonna date it, but we'll talk.
Somebody said, "Be like Medea, peace be still."
I keep me a piece of steel.
Now let me get that piece. It's pew pew.
She kept her piece of steel in her purse.
Hey, because that's how I feel. This is the worst betrayal ever. Hey,
Was that the first time you had ever gone through an abusive relationship?
I ain't never had to say ouch like that. Wait, really? I ain't never had a man beat me. Because I used to model when I moved down here. And his reaction from my husband's reaction with my modeling pictures, this where you been at? He climbing from under cars and stuff. like on some weird stuff. I'm showing him my pictures. This why you couldn't answer the phone? I could have took those pictures. You have a flip phone. So that kind of made it worse. Hey,
You know what?
he I got beat that day. I had to fight all my life type shit. I ain't never had to do that. Mm-mm. Nah, it was just jealousy. He was jealous of. He said, "I'm gonna make it to where you ain't gonna take no damn pictures like that again. I'm gonna make it. I'm gonna make your face ugly." He tried to, but I was outside with black eyes and all types of stuff. Yep, he did this, and he trying to carry me back in the house like,
That
shh,
dude
shh.
sound like
No, they finna see this. Like I'm not embarrassed. This is what you did. Let's show the world. You're a woman beater.
Did
Like,
you ever
it
press
don't.
charges against them?
Huh?
Did you ever press charges against them?
Um, a few times, but I dropped him, and that's just the mentality of, oh, maybe give him another chance. He'll never do it again, but he did it again.
I learned that once an abuser is always an abuser,
Yeah.
Mm-mm. I
and it's
let
not
him.
gonna get better. It's only gonna get worse.
And they're good at manipulating.
Huh?
I said they're good at manipulating, being manipulative, making you feel like I'm sorry, or I'm just this, or I need to get myself together, or I'm going through this. It'll never happen again. But if you just please don't this, they're good at manipulating and
I'll
flipping the.
never do it again. A week later, he back to the same stuff. Now he climbing up the walls. What are you doing? How did you
Hmm.
get up here? Like, you got what type of hands you got? Like, oh Lord, my life is like a movie. Like I ain't never like, like he done got stabbed and all types of stuff, and he's still coming back. I don't know which one lasts the longest, a stab wound or a black eye.
Both, both of them last the same amount of time. Honestly, a wound is a
Stabbing
wound,
wounds are going.
and it lasts.
I'd rather I wouldn't date a snake because he a snake. I'll just date
So,
myself. I'm finna marry myself.
so after that 12-year relationship, you never got into another relationship after then.
He left a bad taste in my mouth. Like, I know every man isn't like that, but I lost myself in that relationship. That was a fuckery ship. Like I don't know what that was. Mm-mm.
And you said you're they people that are viewing are saying you talking too low. I lost my train of thought. So you just never, you know, got into another relationship after that.
I don't desire to be in one. I don't want one. Mm-mm. Cause people are weird. Like you ain't finna put me in your damn trunk because I don't want to listen today. No, I ain't got time for that. You got time to be being dragged out the house and mm-mm. I don't like being watched. Uh, uh-uh. No,
What are
I
you
think
doing
I'll
about
date again when I turn 83.
what are you doing about the situation now?
Which one?
Because you said he's not physically abusing you, but he's like, I guess, emotionally abusing you.
He doing it with the kids. He knows that I love the shit out of my kids. Like he done went too far now. Mm-mm. But it's a bunch of legal stuff that I'm not going to speak on here.
Got it.
But
Okay.
when a man tells you something, you better believe it.
All right. Well, Kelly, I would like to thank you for joining us and sharing your story with us. We're
It
gonna.
took so damn long for me to get on here, man.
I know. We're gonna go on and bring it to a. Thank everybody who tuned in. You all have a good night. See you later.
Peace.
Good night.
Good night.